Video games can be a gateway, a catalyst for a nearly unlimited spectrum of experiences. A lot of games are just there to make you laugh, helping you to understand the absurdity of the make-believe, and most importantly, gives you the joys of spending time with friends. Some games make you feel powerful emotions. They latch onto your memories and let you feel a genuine connection to the characters and the world. Other games envelop you in an atmosphere of true adventure, the sensations of traveling through space or exploring an unknown and unfamiliar abyss, situations that you could never possibly live out in real life. An escape from reality. And some games let you have conversations with toys while you do chores and relive your parents' divorce. Now, I don't want to make any judgments or stereotype in any particular way, but Japan does some pretty weird shit. Why are the stoplights blue? In this particular context, I can name a handful of video games made by a Japanese studio that aren't exactly as straightforward as Mario, and even Mario has some crazy things going on. Look, these things are the equivalent of dung beetles and have pill-shaped heads. Who, what, where, why, and wow. In the spirit of the intriguingly bizarre, this episode of the Hidden Gems Archive will be focused on a situation that I can almost guarantee you have never been in. Besides, perhaps the part about divorce. Anyway, get yourself nice and charged up to hop into the adorable and miniature world of Chibi-Robo. As you'd expect, pretty much any game that is being developed ends up going through multiple versions before they land on the one that really matches the creator's vision. Not really sure how LSD Dream Emulator matches the vision of any sane human, but to each their own. Chibi-Robo was developed by the studio Skip Limited, and you may have heard of one of their other titles, a little game called Gift-Pia. Wait, what the okay, not that one. We Play Motion, that's the one. So Skip Limited isn't a massive studio, but they had the one, the only Shigeru Miyamoto as a game producer on Gift-Pia, so you know they're in good hands. The same year that Gift-Pia was released, that being 2003, Chibi-Robo was announced, and initially it was being published by Bandai. Early betas of the game were set as a point-and-click adventure, with the player commanding the main character around a house to fend off human invaders. I'm sure it would have gone well, and we all know the story of David and Goliath. Oh shit, that army guy is straight up dead. Eventually, word about the development of the game got around to Miyamoto, so of course he said, yeah, that's lame as fuck. You ever heard of Mario? We need this bitch moving with the control stick. So Miyamoto took over as the senior producer, and the game was revamped with Nintendo as the new publisher. The director of Chibi-Robo, Kenichi Nishi, had previously worked on the games Chrono Trigger and Incredible Crisis, which you saw a clip from earlier in the video, and no, I still have no idea what's going on here. According to Nishi, his approach to game design is to crash it, twist it, or create a totally new vision, turning a standard idea into a rather unorthodox one. Yeah, don't worry, it's very apparent here. It wouldn't make sense to have a little robot character interact with humans all the time. They're too big and they're all full of emotions and taxes. Instead, let's have Chibi-Robo interact with toys. They're way cuter and full of cotton and microplastics. With all this said, we have to ask, what is Chibi-Robo? Or, the more relevant question, who is Chibi-Robo? To put it simply, he's a toy. To put it difficultly, he's an advanced artificial intelligence companion with infinite storage in his head and limitless compassion in his tin heart. The adventure begins during a birthday party for a girl named Jenny Sanderson, and Chibi-Robo is one of her gifts. Not gonna say I'm jealous, but my bionicles can't do the dishes. This feels like a happy family, and Mr. and Mrs. Sanderson seem to care a lot about their daughter, enough to buy her a new and futuristic toy that is apparently exceptionally expensive. Based on how upset Mrs. Sanderson gets about the purchase, I'm surprised they didn't have to sell the house itself to get this dude. Worth it, by the way, now I get to walk around as a tiny frog. The robotics company that created Chibi-Robo sends out an accompanying guide with each unit, a flying television named vision, I promise the rest of the game is more creative. Telly says that the #1 goal of any Chibi-Robo is to make life better for whichever family they live with, which generates happy points that are used to receive rewards from the robotics company headquarters. Essentially, the company wants to give Chibi-Robos motivation to become the #1 house bot in the world. Trust me, this starts out as cute and humble intentions to pick up candy wrappers, but this shit is going to get more disturbing than Furbies. So, after Mom accuses Dad of only buying Chibi-Robo so that he doesn't have to do the chores himself, Chibi-Robo blows everyone's socks off with this absolutely baller entrance, and then he steals their enchanted rose. They are all very impressed, and the dad might be on something. This is not a normal reaction. But eventually the family goes to sleep, and given that Chibi-Robo has crippling insomnia, you are left to explore the house at night alone. Or are you? For reasons currently unknown to us, all of the toys in the house come alive during the night, or when nobody is looking. And that means a load of new characters to interact with, including Space Hunter Drake Redcrest. Holy shit, it's really him! These toys have of course been around a lot longer than you, so they'll be able to give you some information and backstory to the family and generally bring life to an otherwise quiet nighttime setting. You can think of it as a light world and dark world type of deal, literally and figuratively. The same areas end up having a new feeling to them depending on the time, so daytime help Mrs. Sanderson make a little pajama outfit, and nighttime make friends with mummies and dinosaurs. You know, two sides of the same coin. Most of the time, there's really no way to guess what could happen in a certain area at a specific time. It's all about exploring and just kind of going with it. So on the first night, you meet this dog toy named Sophie writing about her secret love for Drake Redcrest in her diary. Then, maybe even on the following night, because you spent 5 minutes picking up cookie crumbs, you'll eventually meet Drake Redcrest, and now you understand Sophie's obsession. I mean, what a man. He'll give you a Space Hunter outfit, and then you'll go through the whole ridiculous process of showing him your commitment to justice by striking his iconic pose with it. There's just something about this situation that is hilariously captivating. Seeing yourself in a cute outfit with the triple take action camera shot and heroic music gives off a fantastic first impression for the game. It's clearly not a game that is meant to be taken too seriously. With your new outfit, you can go back to Sophie, let one rip right in her face, and she'll freak out and open the way to the kitchen. That's where you find the Drake Redcrest mug, which is used to defend yourself against these egg marines that will light your ass up when you go into the foyer. All right, I'm leaving, please. But the drawer in the kitchen is open, so you can't get up. Wait, during the day, you can get up there where you can meet up with Mom, take the mug, and maybe even go down into the sink drain to fight off rats. At this point, hopefully you can see what kind of shenanigans and wild situations you might be able to get yourself into. We'll come back around to some major plot points later, but right now you're getting yourself familiar with the layout of the first few areas and cleaning up messes along the way. However, you might be thinking, why would I clean up all this mess? I'm playing a video game to get away from my responsibilities, and how is there more shit?
Keep it clean for 10 minutes!
Well, I have a very good reason, and that reason is something I like to call... Essentially, there are two main reasons why you actually want to clean up every mess you see. Firstly, the innocent and charming atmosphere adds a lot to this game's overall appeal. Every single button-related action and even just walking around is presented with musicality and energetic noises. There are even different sound effects depending on the type of surface you're actually walking on. I mean, you really can't do anything in this game without coming across some kind of little tune. Climbing a rope. Sliding down a wire, using the Chibi-Copter, even squirting. Wait, don't take that out of context. In terms of cleaning, this means that busting out the toothbrush and scrubbing bird shit off of a tree branch, yeah, that makes sense, ends up being a small moment of entertainment, because this song is really easy to find yourself humming along with. Even things that don't really need their own song have one anyway. Just listen to the beat that plays while you're scanning for secrets with the Chibi radar. There's no real hesitation of not wanting to pick up garbage because it's quick, simple, and you get a cute jingle each time it happens. Why is there a separate sound effect for just picking up and carrying your plug? I don't know, but it's cute, so shut up. Anyway, your second motivation for cleaning is that doing so is also one of the main methods to earn Happy points. Every spot you clean and piece of trash you throw away gives you a small amount of happy points, and occasionally the family will give you an added bonus of points for continuing to clean. Once you collect enough, your chibi ranking goes up and you get an increase of your maximum battery capacity. This means you can do more exploring and clean more efficiently because you don't need to stop as often to recharge. The process basically works as a progression gateway, since the only way to make it to higher areas or get more things done within a half-day time limit is to increase your battery. As you explore, you'll come across various pathways that require a bit of involved navigation to actually maneuver them, especially if you come across an item or NPC you want to get to. Oh, you want that frog ring? Yeah, okay. Start at the other side of the fucking room, tinhead! Not to mention, certain equipment and actions drain your energy much more rapidly than average. If you're going to end up crossing a lot of gaps in a row with the Chibi-Copter, you'll need plenty of energy stored up for the expedition. There are also devices that will be placed around the house called utilibots. Existing in the form of either a ladder, bridge, or warp point, these contraptions can only be powered by Chibi-Robo directly, and they will suck you dry. If one of them happens to be up on a high rafter, you better hope you got enough juice to not only get there, but be able to pump it up and air it out. But wait. With all of this intense exploring going on, you have to keep in mind that happy points are not the only thing you're after. Let's not forget that robots are known for their insatiable greed, so you're also going to need to be collecting moolah. A lot of it is randomly strewn throughout the house. What kind of psycho puts coins on the back of their couch? But you can also earn moolah from throwing trash away, and it's part of the cleaning bonuses you receive. So basically this is now a paying job, except without benefits or time off. This family can't afford that shit anymore. The other place to find moolah is inside of Chibi doors. These are also powered by Chibi-Robo, and when you charge them and walk inside, 1,000 eyes of the damned bear witness to the blatant theft of their ethereal treasure. And not even Telly knows where these doors came from, by the way, which does not surprise me. I mean, who could possibly explain this? What do you mean, am I okay? No, now I'm cursed, probably. Most of these doors are hidden away or in a harder to reach spot. So once again, I boast the basis for the benefit of a better battery, you bite-sized bitch. Spending your hard-earned moolah is done at the Chibi store. Look, from this point on, you can probably assume that anything I mention has Chibi as part of its name. The store is where you can buy things like a one-time battery backup in case you run out of energy 2 inches from the plug, as well as various flower seeds, a whole-ass car, apparently, and even different timers to adjust how long each day or night cycle lasts. Usually the best option is 15 minutes to get more tasks done within the same cycle, but in case you want to get back to the opposite time cycle faster, you might briefly rebuy the 5-minute timer. Up until this point, I have neglected to mention utilibots in the store, and that's because instead of spending moolah, you get those by trading in scrap. No, relax, you don't have to chop off your own leg for it. So where do you actually get scrap?
Oh my fucking god!
These nightmare-fueled monstrosities are called spiders. Basically spiders, except cooler, because there's a Z in the name. They start appearing suddenly around the house because, well, they just hate Chibi-Robos. Spiders are racist, I think that's common knowledge. Defeating these spiders with your blaster gives you scrap, which is the only way to get it. So when you come across a bit of oil on the floor, make sure you're locked and loaded. Generally, this is also the only type of actual combat that exists in the game. I mean, come on, it's Chibi-Robo, not the Iron Giant. I guess you can also shoot at stickers to make holes in the walls and windows. You know, I'm sure this bankrupted family won't mind at all. But don't worry, we can find plenty of other outlets, pun intended, for conflict and drama. At some point, you'll reach the basement, which is where you find Gicchoman, who is passed out from a wild bender that put him in a 10-year-long coma. When you plug yourself into him, you find out that those hips don't lie, and you get a flashback explaining how Giga Chad Robo was so greedy and gluttonous that he sucked all the money from the Sandersons' bank account because of his high demand in electricity costs. Oh, and also he's holding this disco ball that fell from the sky, but we'll come back to that later. Clearly, the Sandersons have been struggling financially for a while, which is mainly because Mr. Dadbod here doesn't have a job and continues to buy various expensive toys, including yourself. That's right, you're racking up that electric bill too, don't you feel like a real piece of shit? Over the course of your adventures, you can start to see signs that Mrs. Sanderson is getting pretty fed up with having to deal with such a dysfunctional and irresponsible family. I mean, I get it, children are gross. Eventually, Mom reaches a breaking point, locking herself in her room and threatening Dad with a divorce. Since he actually does love and care about his wife, Mr. Sanderson kicks things into high gear, cleaning and doing all of the chores around the house to prove himself as a husband and father. He even does the cooking. Or more accurately, you do the cooking while he throws buns directly onto the burning oven top. Regardless, things go on like this for a short while until one night, as you're continuing with wacky side quests and varying levels of bitch work, the family is attacked by an army of spiders. A certified burn the house down moment. Mr. Sanderson jumps into action, going full Big Bird on the bedroom door, rescuing his love, and you all escape into the living room. To be honest, I can't effectively segue into this next specific event. It's a giant queen spider with a fridge attached to it, and you fight it on the ceiling. It's pretty badass. After it's over, Mrs. Sanderson is grateful for the dad's bravery and willingness to protect their family, so things start getting better for everyone. Anyway, let's get back to picking up more dog poop or something. Despite an unhealthy number of near-death experiences, throughout the game you've been able to work on trying to recharge Giga-Robo's battery. Of course, this would take a lot of energy if you charged it from an outlet in the house, so you need to put in moolah to charge it instead. Technically, it's moolah you got from the Sandersons or stole from around the house anyway, just don't look too far into it. Not only that, you also have to find his missing leg. While I'm not going to reveal how and where you find the leg, I will say there is yet another subplot to explore, and it involves fucking aliens. No, not screwing aliens. I mean, there's friggin' aliens, alright? One night many years ago, an alien spaceship came crashing down into the backyard, and Giga-Robo was there to catch and save them. As thanks, the aliens granted Giga-Robo one wish using a magical ball of light. So Giga-Robo granted sentience to all of the toys in the house. Presumably because he wanted friends, which is understandable. What are you gonna talk to a child? Fuck that. And Giga-Robo actually had a second wish, because again, robots are unrelentingly greedy. But the aliens only had one disco ball, so they went back to Party City to get another one, and by the time they came back, Giga-Robo had already been banished to the basement realm. Of course, you eventually managed to get Giga-Robo back on his feet, and the aliens fulfilled their promise of his second wish. That wish is something I can let you discover for yourself, since this game is worth a personal playthrough. Chibi-Robo is a game with a wildly charming atmosphere. Every character has character, and despite how outlandish some of them are to interact with, you can find enjoyment in all of their quirks and stories. The voice performances invoke an experience along the lines of Banjo-Kazooie or Animal Crossing, making for some very endearing characters. The house itself is fun to explore, and you'll find a great mixture of intense action sequences and pleasant comedic side stories. Normally, this is where I'd steer you toward the official version of the game, but considering the rarity of it these days, I wouldn't blame you if you tried it on the Dolphin emulator instead. So, if you ever want to plug yourself into adventure, I would highly recommend Chibi-Robo. As far as the sequels are concerned, well, as a wise man once said,
this game blows!